Hey, some good news. Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Loki, and today we're going to be talking about some positives when it comes to Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. This whole situation that's kind of been ended by the Seahawks, denying the Chicago Bears for their trade, and Russell Wilson being happy about some of the recent acquisitions by the Seattle Seahawks. This is definitely something that has gotten a lot better for the Seahawks and Russell Wilson. This whole relationship between them has somewhat been repaired, and it's kind of disappointing because the media won't kind of clear the air and say that it's been repaired. They've just stopped talking about it. They'll completely tell you that Russell Wilson's going to be traded, and then once he's not going to be traded, they just won't clear anything up. Of course, the sports media, they need things that'll get them clicks, get them views, and stuff like that, so they're going to be following the drama. But the fact that they were talking about the whole Russell Wilson being traded, he's gone from the Seahawks, this relationship is unrepairable, and they were talking about that like every single day. But now that it's kind of come to an end, the Seahawks declined the offer from the Bears. Russell Wilson seems happy with the moves that are being made. They've just completely stopped talking about it. There's really no clearing the air of the media, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I feel like you could at least have one segment where you're talking about Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are kind of happy with one another, it seems like, as at least from what you could see from Twitter and things like that. But they don't want to do it. So that's what I'm here to do. And now to get into some of the things that I believe have led the Seattle Seahawks to repair their relationship with Russell Wilson, you obviously have to start with them declining the offer from the Bears. Now, the Bears offered quite a bit. They offered 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and 2 starters. Those 2 starters are reportedly, supposedly Kyle Fuller and Akeem Nicks, who are definitely 2 very solid guys. Kyle Fuller did get cut as a cap casualty, and Akeem Nicks is kind of looking for a trade now, so obviously those players didn't matter too much to the Bears, so it wasn't that great an offer. But in terms of assets, 3 first-round picks is a lot, a third-round pick is quite a bit, and 2 starters is definitely something that a team would want. Those are assets in a trade. Of course, those first-round picks wouldn't have been great. They're not like top 5 picks. I believe the Bears have 20 or something around there this year, and they'd obviously get worse and worse for the Seahawks because, Russell Wilson would be on that team. They'd obviously be getting better positions in the NFL, so their draft would be even, lower, like 30s maybe, if they won the Super Bowl. But of course the trade didn't happen. I'm glad it didn't happen. Most Seahawks fans, I would assume, are glad it didn't happen because those first round picks, they're not top 10. The 2 starters aren't anywhere near Russell Wilson's talent level, so nothing that the Bears really offered would be worth Russell Wilson. So I'm glad that didn't happen. And something that I do like to see coming from this whole the Seahawks declining thing was there were no reports of the Seahawks negotiating back with the Chicago Bears. Of course, there were reports that the Seahawks were calling back teams, which really didn't make a lot of sense because there weren't any reports that the Seahawks were asking for anything. They said they set their kind of price at 3 first rounders, and then they kind of let it go. Teams called them. It didn't seem like they ever kind of responded and made a counteroffer or anything like that. So, that's a positive in my opinion, is the Seahawks didn't really make a counteroffer, didn't make any negotiations. So it didn't really seem like they were too intensely into the trade talks. And the second thing that obviously is very positive for the Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks situation is the Gabe Jackson trade. Gabe Jackson, that move was really good for the Seahawks. The Raiders were getting rid of their old offensive line that was still really talented because they were taking up money. Apparently they got younger people to take their spots. I don't know. I don't watch the Raiders. He gave up 0 sacks on over 1,000 snaps in the 2020 NFL season. So this is definitely a good move for the Seahawks, especially for a 5th round pick. This is a very solid guy to pick up for that value. And I mean, it seemed to make Russell Wilson pretty happy because on Twitter, he liked a tweet from Corbin Smith that was a gif of him kind of doing a big celebration, fist pump type of thing. And it was basically the caption was Russell Wilson when he sees the Gabe Jackson trade news. So Russell Wilson seems pretty happy, and even if the whole, drama of the tension between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks was kind of fabricated by the media, maybe it is a real thing of them actually having, tensions between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks management. This definitely was a move that made Russell Wilson happy, and it makes the Seahawks a better team, so it's a win-win for the entire Seahawks organization because 1, if there was tension, you fixed it with Russell Wilson. 2, you made the offensive line better, so there's a higher likelihood that Russell Wilson will have better pass blocking, and he'll do better because he'll have better pass blocking. Maybe he'll get hit less of a chance of him getting injured. And, maybe Russell Wilson, he only liked this tweet because he liked the meme. Who knows? But I think this trade made Russell Wilson pretty happy because, you know, he's going to be getting some protection going into 2021. And the third thing that kind of helps repair the relationship between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks is the Chris Carson signing. Although it's not as big as the Gabe Jackson trade, that obviously was kind of the biggest move of this offseason for the Seahawks. You know, maybe they draft someone in the second round at center and they really help the offensive line. That'll be a pretty big move. But, you know, Gabe Jackson, huge move for the Seahawks. Definitely really helped their offensive line. But like I said, Chris Carson signing is the third thing that I believe really kind of feeds into the repair of the relationship, because apparently, according to ESPN, Russell Wilson was pushing hard for Chris Carson to re-sign with the Seattle Seahawks, and now that Chris Carson did re-sign for a minimum of 2 years, apparently it's a 3-year deal with a 3rd year voidable. Honestly, contract makes no sense. I'm not a big NFL business guy. I don't really understand the whole ins and outs of contract and, you know, cap and stuff like that. But at least 2 years, from what I believe, at least 2 years is what we're getting of Chris Carson. So I'm going to assume that Russell Wilson, since his contract kind of plays out until 2023, we will most likely be having Russell Wilson for the next 2 years. He will not be, you know, requesting a trade next offseason, even though the media is probably going to say he will. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, because why would you want someone to come in and sign a 2-year deal if you're going to leave after 1 year and kind of screw him over? I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. So Russell Wilson most likely is going to be playing out the rest of his contract with the Seahawks right now. Maybe he'll get re-signed, maybe he'll leave after that, but I do not think that he'll request a trade next offseason, because he did get Chris Carson to sign a 2-year deal, maybe 3. Honestly, don't get that whole contract. And the fourth thing that I believe kind of helps the repair of the relationship between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks is the Ethan Pocic signing. Although it's nowhere near as big as Chris Carson or Gabe Jackson, and although a lot of fans like me and a lot of other people are not a big fan of the re-signing of Ethan Pocic, we could have gotten someone better, it's pretty undeniable that Ethan Pocic is predominantly a pass blocking center, because he's kind of buns in the run game. So he's definitely someone who can pass block, and that's kind of really it. Even if he can only pass block, he is a pass blocker, and that's something that Russell Wilson would want. He wants pass blocking. He wants to be protected when he's passing the ball. He doesn't want to get sacked. So, you know, it's definitely a good thing for Russell Wilson. I'd assume he's relatively happy about this signing. He'd probably want someone better at center, but a center that is predominantly pass blocking, even if it does come from him being horrible in the run game, is something that I believe Russell Wilson would be pretty happy with, because Russell Wilson's the one that would be getting protected from a pass blocking center. And now the fifth thing that I wanted to mention, this really isn't too big of a point when it comes to repairing the relationship, but the Gerald Everett signing is definitely a very solid one for the Seattle Seahawks. You know, maybe Russell Wilson had a say in this because of the familiarity between him and the players on the Rams, because they play the Rams 2 times a season, maybe even 3 times if you include the playoffs. You know, maybe Russell Wilson had a say in that signing, but even if he didn't, that's a very solid signing by the Seahawks to get a young athletic tight end that's just going to be another talented target for Russell Wilson to throw to. You know, even if Russell Wilson didn't have a say in that signing, which maybe he did, maybe he didn't, that's still a very solid guy that I believe Russell Wilson will be happy to be able to throw to next season, because Gerald Everett, he looks pretty nice. And now, the final thing that I want to talk about in this video, the most important thing that I want to talk about in this video, is Russell Wilson. On Twitter, he announced his flag football league, and in the video in which he announced it, at the end, he deliberately stated, for the first time since this whole drama kicked off, "Go Hawks."
Let's go have some fun. See you guys. Go Hawks, baby. Peace.
That's a dub. That's a fat dubski for Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Him saying "Go Hawks" again, you know, coming out publicly, he seems pretty happy with the like tweets, with all of that he said positive about the Chris Carson signing, apparently him wanting Chris Carson back, you know, all the positive things he's kind of been doing recently, him saying "Go Hawks" again. Big dubs for the Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks, for this whole relationship, for the entire team, for the entire future. You know, the prospect of Russell Wilson being a Seahawk for the rest of his career is something that all of us Seahawks fans want, and it's something that seems like it may actually be happening if the Seahawks continue to do things that it seems like they were pushing for this offseason. Getting better offensive line, getting, you know, Russell Wilson a little bit more involved in the decision making. These are some good steps for the future of Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. However, that is going to do it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what you think about this entire situation between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, the relationship being repaired, the mending of the kind of tension that they had earlier on, or whatever the media said, you know. But leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, and with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.